Death comes to us all, and it's enveloped in mystery and wonder, and we don't really know a lot about it, other than, it's the end. Inevitably, like dark matter and the correct temperature to boil a frog, it's one of those compelling questions that scientists have dedicated themselves to search as one of life's biggest answers. I'm Cal from WhatCulture.com, and this is 8 scientific theories about death. Number 8. Quantum suicide. Quantum suicide is a thought experiment based on many worlds of interpretation through quantum theory. It's essentially the Schrödinger's cat experiment, but from the cat's point of view, and the theory suggests that it's possible to survive one's own suicide. The reasoning is that the situation in the 2 possible outcomes are survive and perish. The subject would only have to be aware of the parallel universes in which they survived. And let's be honest here, it's probably not worth the risk. Number 7. We don't really know what it is. We can't really be 100% sure on what death is because we don't really know what life is. In the pursuit of alien life, NASA have defined it as a self-sustaining chemical system capable of Darwinian evolution. But even this isn't perfect, as there are non-living chemical systems that can mimic life without actually being alive. And on top of that, we don't really get consciousness, what causes it, or nor whether it continues after death. All that's science, and we can't even answer what life is. Number 6. There are 3 kinds of death. Although death is pretty final, there are in fact 3 different types, and one of them is reversible. First is clinical death, which is the cessation of vital functions, typically heartbeat and respiration, which can be reversed. Then there's biological death, sometimes called brain death, which is almost the opposite of clinical death, as brain activity ceases, even if the vital functions are being maintained by machines. And finally, molecular death, which refers to the stage at which the body finally loses its lifelong battle against decay. This is where the cells in the body begin to break down, and frankly, you won't want this one reversed. Number 5. The fear of death appears to decline with age. You would think the closer one gets to death, the more one would fear it, but nope, studies actually show the complete opposite. Fear of death seems to be peaking in a person's 20s, and then it goes into a steady decline, apart from a slight bump around the time of the midlife crisis, until they reach around 60, and then no one can be asked to live anymore. That's pretty depressing. Number 4. Thinking about death can make you a bigot. In various studies where participants are primed about thinking of death, it can have an effect on their religious views. It can make them more politically conservative, more nationalistic, and more racially biased, along with being more homophobic. This all more or less loosely falls into the category of psychology known as terror management theory, which suggests that our awareness of death and knowledge of its inevitability tends to result in us expressing our fear of it through unexpected channels. Number 3. The death spiral. The death spiral may sound like a roller coaster or a great rock band name, but it's basically the stage before death in which both physical abilities and normal daily activities go to steep decline. In humans, measures of grip strength, ability to complete daily activities such as using the toilet, eating meals, and levels of cognitive impairment showed a distinct decline once a participant entered the death spiral. Researchers don't think that they'd be able to use this knowledge to extend human lifespans, but they believe they could reduce the duration, vastly improving quality of life for people in their final days. Number 2. Near-death experiences. 5% of Americans claim that they've had a near-death experience. One of the most famous experiences, of course, is moving through a tunnel towards a bright light. And that could actually be a result of lack of blood and oxygen flow to the eye, causing tunnel vision. The out-of-body experience, however, could be a little bit more complicated. When both your sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system fires up, it causes your brain to create a rushing feeling, as well as making you feel floaty, light and calm, thus creating the supposed out-of-body experience. It's unsure as to whether the experience is an accident of the dying brain or whether it's actually a defense mechanism to protect us from trauma. Number 1. Is there an age limit? Over the years, our average life expectancy has increased hugely, but despite that, only one person has lived past the age of 120. Many scientists believe that this is due to an invisible age barrier that is a result of something known as the Hayflick limit, which is the limit in which the amount of times a cell can divide before it's no longer able to. This limit varies between organisms, resulting in the short lifespan of a hamster compared to a Galapagos turtle, and unfortunately, we haven't found any way to breed with them yet. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comments below. I've been Cal from What Culture. You can follow me on Twitter here, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.